This is the week. There's no better week than this week. Heading into week 5, this is often one of the better weeks to be active on the waiver wire, and this is by far and away the most active I'm going to be. You should be. This is a big week to make transactions. When I look on Patreon, because I publish all my preferred waiver pickups and precise FAAB guidance on patreon.com/podfather. And sometimes we list 8 running backs, 10 running backs, where you're actually putting down a bid, even if it's just $1 in very deep leagues. We got 12 running backs that I'm interested in this week. And it just kept going and going and going and going and going, because what's happening is all the stud running backs, with the exception of Bucky Irving, are staying healthy. And they're not even banged up. Like, they're 100% healthy. There's very few questionable tags among the elite running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, we're very fortunate that there's been very few of the running backs that we care about. Now, some of them are underperforming, like Saquon Barkley, but at least they're not injured, right? At least they're not injured. So that's a good thing. Christian McCaffrey's producing. So it's very good news. It's very good news. However, the theme of this week is the stud running backs are staying healthy. All the RB2s around the league are crumbling. And in their place come second, third, but mostly first-year running backs. That is, the rookie running back is king this week on the waiver wire. They're the ones that are often not demanding a huge bid, not a top waiver claim, but you're going to see as we go through this, a lot of these running backs are rookies, and some of them have not even sniffed the active roster beyond a couple carries or a few touches or a few snaps, but they're coming. They're coming. It's like the drumbeat is coming with these rookies, and that's who I'm most excited to talk about today. So yeah, we got a lot going on. Again, we always start with running back because that's what matters. That's where the vast majority of your spending is going to be. Think about last week, right? You could argue with a pickup here and there from last week's show or last week's FAAB guidance on Patreon. But think about the overarching theme, and this goes back years. Our philosophy, our process is you devote the vast majority of your spending to the running back position. And the running back that was the least expensive and that we said offered the most upside for the dollar in FAAB bidding was Woody Marks. We had essentially similar spend recommended on Woody Marks versus Trey Tucker. If you could go back in time, get in your time machine, go back, who would you rather spend up on, Trey Tucker or Woody Marks? The less experienced fantasy gamers, they're like, oh God, this Trey Tucker, he's a monster producer. I got to get this guy. Meanwhile, Woody Marks doesn't produce anything. He's available for like $1 in every league. But the underlying peripheral usage, the snap shares, the opportunity shares, these are going up for Woody Marks. Whereas Trey Tucker, hey, you caught some long touchdowns, good job, but that's not sustainable. And we have a wide receiver. What was that? We have a wide receiver this week. You probably can guess who it is. Who put up 3 touchdowns and went nuclear. And he's the top of, you see, I review the waiver wire guidance across the internet, across the fantasy football media ecosystem. And there were plenty of, you got to get Romeo Doubs, top of the ticket, Romeo Doubs. And it's like, okay, all right, okay. Well, we'll talk about Romeo Doubs. We'll get there. So it tends to be with running back, we're in line with the chalk, right? last week, if somehow, some way Trey Benson was available, you had to go get him, and you didn't really cash in last week, but you'll be cashing in this week. Trust me, you'll be playing. You want to play Trey Benson. We have a Plays of the Week show that we release on Fridays. Stay tuned for that. Spoiler alert, Trey Benson's going to be in the Plays of the Week show on Friday. Ooh, actually, might come out on Thursday. Might do a little Thursday Plays of the Week here. Stay tuned. But yeah, probably Thursday. I have my... whenever you are putting yourself out in front of people, whether it's on a stage or whether it's in front of a microphone, podcasting, whatever it is, whenever you're, let's say, past the midpoint of the average lifespan of a human being, anything that alludes to your age, you take a beat before you want to share that information. But I'll just tell you right now. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing this weekend. I have my 25th college reunion. So, okay, do the math. Okay. I don't love it. I don't love what that means. I don't love what that means for the age on this body, but that's what's happening. That's what's happening. We're going to Chicago. I'll be in Chicago. Hey, I'll be in Chicago this weekend. Come say hi. So the number one running back typically is chalk. Woody Marks, chalk. Like that, you already got him last week, I know, but if you didn't, and you're in a shallow league, 75% of your bidding, 75% of your remaining budget, put it on Woody Marks. Go get him. It's arbitrary. You can go 70, you can go 80, you can go 90, you can go 60, but I think right down the middle there is 75%. Again, last week we said that Woody Marks offered the most bang for the buck in FAAB bidding. And let's just go through the snap share week by week. So week 1, 12%. Week 2, 28%. Week 3, 49%. Week 4, 56%. And this was, think about this though, okay? This was in a game where they didn't need him. They didn't even need him. Think about that. What happens when they're down 20 points? Because he's their satellite back, right? But he's a satellite back plus. He's got size. It's just, he offers the most talent on any given touch out of that backfield. You're getting more from Woody Marks, gives you a better chance to score a touchdown than any other running back on that team. And you have to tip your cap to the Houston Texans and many other teams that are realizing earlier on in the process than historically we've seen, hey, we've got to roll this rookie running back out. Like, we can't delay any longer. We got to get this guy out there. He can make plays for us. There are a couple teams that have slow played their rookie running backs, these rookies that were drafted deep into day 3. I'm looking at you, Kansas City. I'm looking at you, Dallas. We will talk about these teams and those running backs later in the show. When it comes to Kenneth Gainwell, I can't help but just feel a source of pride that Kenneth Gainwell posted 30 fantasy points. And all I've ever said about Kenneth Gainwell is that he's the best running back on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's better than Jalen Warren. Talent-wise, he is. Is he top of the depth chart? No. Why? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of those less enlightened franchises, especially when it comes to playing young players. They don't like to do it. So, what are we forced to do? Well, we have to adjust, right? We can't be going all in on a Caleb Johnson knowing it's the Steelers. And if Jaylen Warren is the established veteran, then he's going to get the veteran deference, and that's the way they play it in Pittsburgh. But now the glass has been broken. They had an emergency at running back, and they had to break open glass. And then you have Kenneth Gainwell putting up fantasy points that Jaylen Warren could not post. I can guarantee you, if Jaylen Warren was the starting running back, he would not have posted 30 fantasy points. That would not have happened. That's because Kenneth Gainwell is great. Kenneth Gainwell had like a 1,600-plus yard season at Memphis. He's an electric pass catcher. Anyone that watched the Steelers was like, wow, this is cool. Wow, look at this guy, right? And Aaron Rodgers apparently was out late and cracked the smelling salts. Right? And throw this. I mean, what can I say except I'm sorry to Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers, I thought you were a douchey guy for many years. And in the last few years, you've stopped taking yourself so seriously. You're becoming a little more of a swashbuckling DGAF player. And that's really cool, right? That's pretty cool. We less of the pseudo-intellectual Aaron Rodgers and more of the gritty, smelling salts, fuck it, let's go throw some footballs around. That's what we want. That's amazing. That's what Pittsburgh wants, right? That's what the Steelers want. Oh, man. And the Steelers are going to want Kenny Gainwell. So the bottom line is, yeah, they're going into a bye. Yeah, Jaylen Warren is going to be back. Yeah, they have Caleb Johnson. He's eventually going to earn some more touches. But Kenneth Gainwell has a 30-point ceiling. This is what we know. We don't know. Most of the running backs that are on the waiver wire can go score 30 points. So even though you have to just stash him for a week, and even though his playing time is going to be super uncertain when he comes back, and Jaylen Warren is back, I want to scoop Kenny. You can't. I'm wearing a Kenneth Gainwell t-shirt. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Who else? Who else has one? So I'll tell you this. I have him as the number 2 priority running back to pick up. In deeper leagues, I think you can go as high as 25% of your budget on this guy because he has that kind of upside. And he didn't get mugged either in Dublin. And Aaron Rodgers was out late, also didn't get mugged. Poor Skylar Thompson got mugged. By the way, Skylar Thompson, just so you know, anyone that thinks it's super dangerous in Dublin, my 14-year-old daughter and her friends were walking around Dublin by themselves not long ago, and they were fine. So there's a real possibility that Skylar and his friends were interfacing, doing some public relations with some members of the pub community in Dublin, which may have led to hands being thrown. But I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But all I know is Dublin is not a super dangerous place. That's my only point, is that Dublin is not super dangerous. But the Steelers certainly know how to get down. And again, I like this. I like everything about all that stuff. They're going out, getting hammered in a foreign country, getting beat up, right? Need smelling salts the next day. This is what football used to be, and because you all now know my age, this is what the boomers want. The boomers want this. We're good with this. We're good with all of it. Makes me like the Steelers. I don't like the Steelers. Makes me like the Steelers. And I love Gainwell. And this is a principled stand that I'm taking. Again, if it was any other running back heading into a bye week with the established number 1 coming back and an electric rookie, waiting in the wings. Typically, I'd be like, slow down. But we can't abide Kenneth Gainwell on waivers at this point. And what's cool is other fantasy analysts agree with me. Like, they're on board with Gainwell. Like, they all know that he's not going to help you this week. There's forces aligned against him on the depth chart. We know that. But I'm looking around. I'm like, there's a lot of smart fantasy analysts that also like Gainwell, and they don't just want to let him go unless someone else stash him. So I feel proud. I feel good, and I feel like we're going to be on the right side of history, making sure we have Gainwell. We did whatever we could to get Gainwell. Ideally, you picked him up an hour before kickoff. If you didn't, you fix the glitch. You get him. Rachaad White is interesting. Now, Rachaad White, I also like, but you got to understand, I don't have a Rachaad White t-shirt. I have a Kenneth Gainwell t-shirt. I have come to Jesus on this. Rachaad White is not a strong runner of footballs, and it's multiple years of advanced stats, plus the fact that he just looks like a wide receiver. Every time I see Rachaad White running, I think that it's screenplay, but it's not. It's a running back, and there's just something about this. The only eye test talk we're going to have this entire show is that the drumbeat of analysts criticizing his running style, the advanced metrics being incredibly unimpressive from, expected yards per carry to yards created per touch, juke rate. He's just not a tackle breaker. And he's vulnerable in the open field to being taken down pretty easily, where a guy like Bucky Irving, he's making people miss at a higher rate. He's breaking more tackles. That's just what he's doing. The data tells us this. The eye test tells you this. Other analysts tell you this. Eventually, you just need to relent and say, yes, he's a great pass catcher out of the backfield, but he ain't no Kenny Gainwell. He's not a real all-purpose back like Kenneth Gainwell, but Bucky Irving did get injured, right? We don't know. He came back, but we don't know the severity of the injury. A lot of times these guys come back into the game and they're on adrenaline, and then you get the swelling the next day, and then they can't practice throughout the week, and then they're inactive the following week. This happens all the time. So just because Bucky Irving returned to the game doesn't mean much at all. We don't know this is the total severity. Therefore, we have to go get Rachaad White just because this is an offense we want to have access to. It's not meeting expectations that we thought. Oh, Baker Mayfield's he's underperforming this year. No way, really? Oh, Baker Mayfield's not putting up 23 fantasy points a game. Shocker, right? Who's behind Rachaad White? We'll talk about that player in a little bit. Who's next? Who do you want to talk about? We have to talk about Kendre Miller. Now, a lot of people have Kendre Miller higher up on the rankings because Kendre Miller, right, he put up fantasy points. So if you put up fantasy points last week, then we got to get excited about him. He's a desperation flex option. They are playing the Giants, so I understand why you would want to pick him up. He is the handcuff. He's the one-for-one handcuff. There aren't that many of those guys out there. They are playing the Giants, so there's a case to be made for Kendre Miller. Also, Kamara could be traded. But I'm not overbidding on a player chasing the previous week's touchdowns. It's not what we're doing. It's not what we're here to do. That's not a good idea. Especially a player on a bad team, especially a player that doesn't catch passes. And like Kenny Gainwell, there are players set to return on that roster, like Taysom Hill. So even if Kamara's traded, Taysom Hill's going to be in there. And then Kendre Miller, and then Taysom Hill. You can never forget about Taysom Hill. Forgetting about Taysom Hill in the NFL and in fantasy football is a mistake. Playing him is usually a mistake as well. Once in a while you play him and it's a bonanza. But typically he's just vulturing and it's incredibly random. I mean, no player in the NFL has more random production week to week than Taysom Hill. But forgetting about him, forgetting he's out there, it's always a mistake. So all those reasons, we're not bidding as aggressively on Kendre Miller as other analysts would suggest. I'm talking in deep leagues. You're talking at most 5% of your budget. So you're not going to end up getting him. Spoiler alert, you're not going to get him. But what's the big difference between Kendre Miller and Blake Corum? Well, Blake Corum's playing more than even Miller is. He's on a better team. He's better out of the backfield as a pass catcher. And look at Kyren Williams' usage. The rush share. Okay, Kyren Williams, week 1. All the carries, right? Then it goes down to 77, then 71, then 59. Whose usage keeps going up every week? Blake Corum. Blake Corum didn't produce last week, though, so he's available. He will even be dropped by some people that aren't aware of these advanced stats and metrics, do not have player profile, or do not listen to the show. Ollie Gordon's another one of these guys. Ollie Gordon didn't produce last week, but Ollie Gordon is, yes, Ollie Gordon is the best running back available on waivers. So just based on talent, who's the best? It's Ollie Gordon. Is he behind a super ultra talented running back in Devon Achane? Yes. Are both of them trapped on a bad team? Yes. But Ollie Gordon is the best running back available in most leagues. And for that reason, you can bid on him a bare minimum, just like Blake Corum. Stash these two guys. You got Corum and you got Gordon on your bench. And then your league mates are going to end up bidding up Miller, bidding up Gainwell, of course. And then you already have Marks. So there you go. So who's winning? You are. That's what's happening. You know who's not winning, by the way? We should look. I want to look at this. I want to look at this for a second. Okay, so one thing that we talked about many times during the offseason was that the Miami Dolphins were the worst team in the league, and that the first coach fired would be Mike McDaniel. And I just happened to go to CBS Sports just now. I was on CBS. This just happened. I was just on CBS Sports. This is what I saw. Okay. Hot seat rankings, NFL coaches with jobs in jeopardy. Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel is the face of that article. He is the hero image on that article. Oh, well. You're predicting injuries now with Tyreek Hill? It has nothing to do with Tyreek Hill. Now, there is a wide receiver on the Dolphins I really want. We'll talk about him later. And I think he's potentially the best value on waivers at the wide receiver position. And Ollie Gordon is one of the, say, 2 best values available on the waiver wire at the running back position. They're both Dolphins. I know it's a bad team, but this is an opportunity conservation play where you lose Tyreek Hill. Other players have to step up and take on that opportunity share. And there's just not a lot there. Outside of Achane, there's not a lot there. And so there's big opportunity for a running back to step up like Ollie Gordon, a wide receiver to step up, and a tight end to step up. We've already seen the tight end step up in a big way. In a big way. Another player that you could absolutely pick up right now on the waiver wire is very available. I think he's going to keep producing. It's Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez had the big long run. You saw him break the big run. That was cool. He's still the featured back. I understand Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is a more efficient player. He is. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's been really efficient. But again, he's a day 3 pick. Washington's a little more enlightened than Pittsburgh in that they started playing JCM right away. they haven't gone as far as totally feeding him. Chris Rodriguez still is, commanding more carries out of that backfield than anyone else. And when Jaden Daniels returns, yes, Jaden Daniels is going to keep it himself for some touchdowns in the red zone, but there just will be a lot more red zone opportunities with Jaden Daniels under center, which then increases the probability that Chris Rodriguez scores touchdowns. On the flip side, they travel to the Chargers this week, so that's not great. But no matter where they're traveling, if you're getting 40% of the snaps and you're the go-to running back, the trusted veteran running back in the red zone on what is a high-scoring team when the starting quarterback is under center, then this is absolutely a player you can flex. In a desperation situation, you can flex Chris Rodriguez, which is why in deep leagues, I think you put 2 or 3% of your budget down on him. JCM is never going to be a bell cow in 2025. Maybe later, maybe down the road, but you just don't see this happening where as a rookie, they get bell cow status. It takes time. And guys like Chris Rodriguez are the 40% opportunity share go-to grinder backs when a Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is going through the learning experience of being a rookie running back. Now, there's another running back that's also a great fringe streaming option. He's not going to give you what he gave you last week. Last week was the week to stream Justice Hill. But Justice Hill is a guy where in deep leagues, I could see bidding up to 5%. You have to, right? He put up over 20 fantasy points. Someone is going to try to get him on the waiver wire. So if you want him in a deep league, you got to put like 5% on him. And this was a mistake that I made last week, was that where I had stack ranked Woody Marks was based on what I thought it took to get him in FAAB bidding. And then because we were underbidding a bunch of guys, most of you ended up with Woody Marks, but I didn't have him ranked where he should have been. I had it ranked by just how much we were bidding that week. And so the players that produced and were necessarily going to get their demand driven up, he was slotted ahead of Woody Marks on Patreon. We've changed that. So now you're going to see on Patreon, we have a guy ranked higher with a lower bid. And Blake Corum and Ollie Gordon are great examples of that, where you don't have to bid anything to get these guys. But I'd rather have them than guys who are going to be more expensive, like a Justice Hill, because Justice Hill went completely nuclear, and one of the 12 people in your league is going to be like, oh, I got to go get that guy. Look at that guy's producing. Hill thrives with negative game scripts. And now, the Ravens are going to be in comeback mode this week without Lamar. I shouldn't say that because we'll get to it in a little bit. But there's a real possibility that, and we're going to talk about the plays of the week later. I don't want to. God, okay. We'll talk about it. Just get right into it. Cooper Rush will be an upgrade for the receivers in Baltimore. Cooper Rush is ideal for everyone. The only one that suffers from having Cooper Rush back there is Derrick Henry will have more linebackers in the box. So Derrick Henry his efficiency will suffer. His production could suffer, but it also might not, because he'll have more opportunities, especially inside the 20. Cooper Rush, much less of a risk to run it in for a touchdown than Lamar Jackson. So you could argue that Derrick Henry is a push, has really no edge, whether it's Lamar or Cooper Rush. But the other players, Zay Flowers especially, even Rashad Bateman, Justice Hill, they'll benefit from having Cooper Rush under center. and more negative game scripts, right? Especially Justice Hill. I mean, Cooper Rush is really good news for Justice Hill. And, yeah, I'm not point chasing. We're not point chasing. We have him ranked number 8 in terms of priorities. But you could do a lot worse. If you need a flex option, you're desperate, Justice Hill, go right back to it. We're not point chasing here. We're betting on Cooper Rush helping Justice Hill. Now at 9, the 9th priority running back is Brashard Smith. Now Brashard Smith is still the 3. He's still 3, right? There's been no injuries in Kansas City. But that backfield is looking completely up for grabs. I don't know why Kareem Hunt's getting all the carries. No one knows what's going on with Pacheco. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I can't explain, right? I had Pacheco a couple weeks ago as like one of the great plays of the week, one of the great, a sleeper weekly play. Not going to happen. Not happening. Brashard Smith is an incredible satellite back. Really talented. Runs a 4.39. Best comparable to Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines had some weeks, but had a full season of quality production for the Colts. And Brashard Smith, he's not that small. Like, he is a converted receiver. He's almost 200 pounds, and he's fast, and he's on the Chiefs. And those are the reasons why you should go grab him. You should absolutely go grab Brashard Smith now. He didn't do anything, so no one's running to get him. You can get him for very little. We have him down like 3% in deep leagues just to make sure you get him, just to lock him in. Another guy is Jaden Blue. Now, Jaden Blue, he didn't show up in the box score, but Miles Sanders got hurt, right? So this is the interesting thing where Jaden Blue has a little bit more upside than even Brashard Smith because now the depth chart has been broken wide open. But no one is thinking about Jaden Blue because he wasn't in the box score. That's the perfect opportunity to go in and put down a little 2% bid. Make sure you're stashing Jaden Blue because they eventually have to turn to him. Miles Sanders offers nothing. Jaden Blue was slow to pick up the playbook. He was frustrating coaches, but now they have no choice. They have to turn to him, and he's got serious receiving chops. Jaden Blue is, my problem this week is not enough. We're all going to have this problem. Raise your hand. We're all going to have the problem. Not enough bench spots for all our running backs. If you just want to drop all your auxiliary players at these other positions, backup tight end, gone, backup quarterback, gone, no backup receivers, just go with your starters, and you just want to go all in on stashing running backs, yeah, I say go ahead. Why not? Sure. There's so many options. We're going to have to make tough choices. You don't want to let Jaden Blue stick on the waiver wire and let someone else get him. Right? You don't want to let him go. But then there's Isaiah Davis. Isaiah Davis is impressive. Right? Isaiah Davis, not the most athletic. Let's look at him on Player Profiler. Best comparable to Tyler Algier. He runs a lot like Tyler Algier. The guy's big. He's big, and he's got enough speed. 66th percentile speed score, 47th percentile burst score. He did just enough at the scouting combine that this guy can run the ball. This guy's plenty dangerous between the tackles. And he was dominant in college at South Dakota State, 35% college dominator. Again, very close comp to Tyler Algier, actually. That's Isaiah Davis. And with Braylon Allen fumbling and then hurting his knee in what was just an embarrassing, awkward injury, I feel bad for him that's how it went down. Not like this. Not like this. Not like this. So I like Isaiah Davis as a stash. Like I said, it's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hard. These decisions hard. We haven't even talked about Sean Tucker yet. Look at Sean Tucker's athleticism. This is a 4.44 running back who's strong. Everyone knows he's explosive. He can catch passes out of the backfield. He was a dominant college producer. He has evolved. He's been a developmental player. He's one of these guys that the team did not trust at all, and now he's going to be 24, and he has plenty of practice reps under his belt. He's been sprinkled into some games. Now they're much more comfortable in Tampa playing Sean Tucker, and we don't know the extent of the Bucky Irving injury. And I talked earlier, Rachaad White's just not a proper between the tackles runner. Sean Tucker, if Irving is out, Sean Tucker will get run. He will be a guy that you could conceivably even flex in, a desperation flex option. I'm hoping that it's just, hey, we can just stream Rachaad White or activate Rachaad White, play him that week, and he goes for 20 plus points, gets all the touches. I hope. That's just probably not going to happen. That is just not going to, I think there's going to be a healthy mix of Sean Tucker. So Sean Tucker is also very interesting. We just don't know the extent of the injury. It's hard to really bid much at all on Sean Tucker just because you get him and then, Bucky's going to be okay and he's going to play. And it's like, now I have the third running back. And I don't want you wasting any FAAB money on, you don't want to waste FAAB money on Sean Tucker. That's not a good idea. But the littlest little bit, if you can bid zero and still put him on your roster, it's just, at this point, how could we even carry a guy like Sean Tucker, given all these other guys we're picking up? It's going to be tough. It's tough. It's a tough decision. I get it. But that's why we do the show. These are my rankings for who I'm picking up. You can do it what you want. It's up to you, right? This is my opinion, man. This is my opinion. And yeah, I mean, wow. It's been hours, and I see all these podcast episodes coming out, and I see these articles getting written on Monday morning about who you need to pick up on the waiver wire. And I'm like, man, that's pretty early. And then I read them and I'm like, well, they're missing this guy and they're missing this guy and they're missing this guy and they didn't account for this and didn't account for that. It's like, yeah, well, it takes time. It takes thought. It takes just thinking deeply about all these different teams, all these situations, all these players. And then, the bell rings at noon on Tuesday and it's like, okay, we're going to put our waiver wire preferences out in the world. We're going to turn on the microphone and we're going to talk running back for the vast majority of the show because that's how we do things. But after this, we will talk wide receiver. Always have to check in on the Podfather. How's the recovery from the rotator cuff injury coming? Well, it's going great. Playing a round of golf as I did today. Hit him pretty good. Why? The FitBod app. Because this app creates workout routines specifically for your goals and then tracks your progress and adjusts the workout routine as you build strength, as you build flexibility to ensure that you don't plateau. So if you want to get stronger, if you want to be in better condition, lose weight, recover from an injury, whatever it is, you don't need a personal trainer because the FitBod app is calibrated by personal trainers. So go to fitbod.me/player, fitbod.me/player. You get 25% off your subscription or you can try it free for 7 days. So level up your workout routine now. Join FitBod today for a personalized workout plan. Try it free for 7 days, 25% off your subscription at fitbod.me/player. Breaking news. Braylon Allen has been sent to IR. Ooh, what does that mean? What does that mean for Isaiah Davis? We'll go back to Isaiah Davis. Let's bring him back up here. Isaiah Davis. He's impressive. He is an impressive running back to watch. He is a close comparable to Tyler Algier. And they play Dallas. Oh, they're playing Dallas. So with that news that they're playing Dallas, We got to adjust. We got to adjust. How do we adjust? What's the adjustment going to be? Well, if we were saying 1% in deep leagues on Isaiah Davis, I think you bump that up to 10%. I think 10%. So yeah, we'll adjust on Patreon. I'm adjusting it here on the show. 10% on Isaiah Davis, especially if you want to play someone this week. They're playing Dallas. It's going to be an up and down game. You always want to play people playing Dallas. This is your fringe streaming option of the week is Isaiah Davis, and then he is a full 1-for-1 handcuff with Breece Hall. Breece Hall is a monster this week. So I don't want to, we haven't got to the plays of the week yet, but one of the plays of the week is going to be Breece Hall. Breece Hall is an absolute smash. We have the Quick 6 Super Slam on Fast Draft. Fast Draft has the Quick 6 Super Slam. You can select any 6 guys, and those guys have to have huge upside. Who was a key player last week? Puka Nacua. Who was another one? Oh, Josh Jacobs. Okay. Well, Breece Hall has that 30-plus point upside. We've seen it already, right? We've seen him get like over 30 carries in a game before. We've seen him smash 30 fantasy points before. So, yes, I think that you could prioritize Isaiah Davis all the way to the point where he's the number 2 running back on your list. He's ahead of Rachaad White, that he's ahead of Kenny Gainwell. But I don't want to lose focus on Breece Hall and what a smash he is. The Quick 6 Super Slam has $1,000 to first. It's a $5,000 prize pool. You just pick any 6 guys and you put a couple of guys in your booster spots. I think that Breece Hall is even booster worthy in the Flex 6 game. Breece Hall, officially, I will say it, booster worthy, in my opinion. And Isaiah Davis, you got to get him. But the beauty is, Braylon Allen's not the starter, right? And so most of your league mates are not in a rush climbing over themselves to get the backup's backup. At the end of the day, he's the backup's backup. He's the backup's backup. Who cares? It's the backup's backup. Now, this could be a bell cow back if something happens to Breece Hall, and it could be a league winner. A guy like Brashard Smith, a guy like Jaden Blue, a guy like Justice Hill, others we've talked about, they don't have that kind of upside. The only other players with that kind of upside, with that kind of ability on this list that we've talked about are Blake Corum and Ollie Gordon and maybe Woody Marks. We still have to see with Woody Marks what exactly he's capable of, but it looks like Woody Marks has that in his range of outcomes as well. And also Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell could be that. We've already seen it, as we said. So those are the players with the highest possible ceilings. I didn't mention Kendre Miller on that list, and I did not mention Rachaad White on that list. So you can go ahead and submit your bids accordingly. Think about who your league mates are, their level of sophistication, and my recommendation is to do what you think is necessary to get Isaiah Davis. It's going to be, you're going to get a good deal. Right? You're not going to have to overpay. But I would, bump him up your list. At wide receiver, woof. I mean, should we consider just doing a show on running backs? Maybe that's the thing. Maybe we just do a show, because I don't want to talk about these wide receivers. Do I need to talk about Alec Aominor again? Do I? Really? Okay, I guess. I mean, I'll even put him on the screen. Can we just put him on the screen? Alec Aominor again. Calvin Ridley had some mysterious injury / conflict with the coaching staff. We don't know what the hell happened, but Calvin Ridley's snap share crashed last week. He was not in the game for a significant period of time. Alec Aominor just continues to produce. in complete obscurity and anonymity because this is the worst team in the league. I feel bad for Cam Ward. I feel bad for Alec Ayominor, but the number one receiver, and that's what Ayominor has been this year, is going to get targets even on the worst team. So, worth a pickup. Even in shallow leagues, I think it's worth it to have Ayominor as like a bench receiver to rotate in with bye weeks. Perfectly reasonable. I wouldn't, in a shallow league, I wouldn't put more than, say, 2% down on him. In a deeper league, Ayominor is probably not available, but you can go up to 10%. But just don't cross that 10%. We crossed it once. We gave the green light to cross it once, and that was it. Probably won't happen again the rest of the year. And then there's Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin's another one that we've been talking about week in, week out. And he produced again, was featured again, and yet he's just an afterthought on the waiver wire. It makes no sense. Look at this guy. This was the guy we wanted, not Trey Tucker last week. And sure enough, he outproduced Trey Tucker. And he has Jameson Williams level athleticism, but has a better work ethic and is just a better all-purpose football player than Jameson Williams. So I love Troy Franklin. If there was a wide receiver that I think that offers the most bang for the buck in FAAB bidding, it's got to be Troy Franklin. It ain't Romeo Doubs. All right. So Troy Franklin is just better than Doubs across the board. He has Cortland Sutton on the other side. Doubs has Matthew Golden on the other side. Franklin has the explosive upside. Doubs does not. Doubs did catch 3 touchdowns. I mean, chasing last week's 3-touchdown game? What? Matthew Golden will continue to secure that number 1 wide receiver role, especially after the bye. They're heading into a bye. So why are you stashing Doubs? You're paying up to get Doubs this week? You don't use him? Please. Get out of here. So, I mean, Romeo Doubs is this week's Trey Tucker. And I'm guaranteed to be right about Doubs in week 5 because he's going to score 0 fantasy points because he's on bye. Makes it even easier. Even easier to avoid. Again, normally I would also say that about Gainwell, but, man, loyalty means something in this business. Now, here's the receiver I really want to talk about. His name is Malik Washington. We have the law of the conservation of targets, a term that I coined and no one else cares about. He has nice metrics, man. This is an explosive playmaker. Very under the radar, very small, right? Very compact, 5'9", 190. But man, he packs a punch. He has some similarities to Tyreek Hill. A little bit, right? From a stature standpoint, and now he's going to be the starter, and they play Carolina this week. This is your guy. This is the guy to pick up, right? If you're picking up wide receivers this week, it's Troy Franklin and it's Malik Washington. And that's about it. Okay, there's really not a lot else that I'm that excited about. I'm just not. Well, as you can see, I just flashed the FAAB guidance up on the screen there from Patreon. Little tease there, little flash tease. Go ahead and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can pause it and get the suggested FAAB bids for wide receivers. Notice I didn't show the running backs though. That's the key. Darius Slayton's another guy. We have target void in New York. But Darius Slayton's not that good at football. Darius Slayton's too svelte. He's not compact. He gets bullied by opposing corners. He's very inconsistent. He's never, ever been a guy that you're picking up off the waiver wire and you can reliably start. He's like almost 30 years old. What are we doing? Right? So to me, Malik Washington is the clear play, and yet I see more hype around Darius Slayton just because it's like in Miami, it's all the targets are gonna go to Jalen Waddle. I don't know that to be true. I think Malik Washington is interesting. I'll say it. I'll say it on the show. Malik Washington's a better pickup than Romeo Doubs. I said it. God, I didn't know. I didn't know if I'd had the courage to say it. I had the courage. And then after Darius Slayton, if you can't get Malik Washington for whatever reason, you get stuck with Darius Slayton just on target conservation alone. You have to play a guy, then you're going to start Slayton, and you're going to hate it. Another guy that's interesting that we should talk about is Isaiah Bond. And we had Tillman with the hamstring injury. Isaiah Bond was a day 3 pick that signed a day 2 contract because he's a day 2 talent. And then he's out there and he's the receiving leader. And it's funny how, Joe Flacco, there were no streaming options. I get it. Joe Flacco is all we had. 16-team leagues. He was the only starter available in a lot of waiver wires. And he ended up putting up like 1 fantasy point. And I was like, well, but just go Geno Smith instead if he's available. And then Geno was bad Geno, which we worried. God, you could say, Podfather, you got to trust your instincts on these things. I don't think so. I think you all heard me in real time come to a conclusion that was correct, which was Geno Smith was the best of the super fringe quarterback starts. But, I wasn't loving it, and I was very nervous, and there was no lock we were going to get good Geno, and then we got bad Geno, and it's just... it's not easy out here. It's not easy. You might say, Jackson Dart. No. Smart fantasy gamers already stashed Dak. It's over. No. There's no Jackson Dart. We'll get to quarterback in a little bit, but Jackson Dart, no. There were leagues last week where Geno Smith was available, Jackson Dart was not. A lot of those leagues. It's just the way it is. They're smart. People are smart. Every year they're smarter. It's getting harder and harder out here to win leagues. It is. You know it. But Isaiah Bond, we don't know the severity of the Tillman injury. Isaiah Bond should be picked up. Absolutely. But you don't need to spend up big on him. Again, Tillman wasn't the number 1. Tillman's not Neighbors. He's not Tyreek Hill. So there's not this massive target void that everyone's chasing. So therefore, you can bid a little bit less on Bond than you would on Washington or Slayton and still get him. Now, if you really want to get creative and you think about the injuries, the team that was most ravaged by injuries at wide receiver last week was actually San Francisco. You had Pearsall and Jennings both hurt. Pearsall returned. Again, doesn't matter. It could be that Jennings plays and Pearsall doesn't this week. We don't know. With a rib injury, typically they can wear the vest. Poor Jennings, man. Rashad Jennings is a warrior. He's got every body part injured. Shoulder, ribs, calf. Everything is hurt for a Jennings. And so this is opening up big-time target distribution for, I can't believe it, Kendrick Bourne. Yes, Kendrick Bourne. He's worth just maybe a 1% bid. See what happens with the statuses, the playing statuses of Jennings and Pearsall. But if you're technically the number 1 wide receiver for Brock Purdy, you need to be out there. You need to be considered started in fringe situations, very deep leagues, a lot of flex positions. Kendrick Bourne demands to be started. Okay, I'm not saying draft him. Like, we have the Flex 6 Frenzy on Fast Draft. Okay, and by the way, code is FAST. Use code FAST to get a $50 deposit match. Code FAST for a $50 deposit match. The Flex 6 Frenzy 6th round is very interesting. That's where a lot of frenzies are won and lost. Who people are drafting in the 6th round. You can go pretty fringy in the 6th round. Do you go Malik Washington level fringe? It's not crazy, but probably not necessary. Certainly you wouldn't go as deep as Kendrick Bourne, but if both Jennings and Pearsall are out, then A guy like Kendrick Bourne becomes draftable in the 6th round of the Flex 6 Frenzy, which I can't even believe I'm saying, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Now, a player that I would only consider streaming, that I'm not interested in picking up for any length of time, but if it's just a temporary, you got to get this guy in your lineup because there's injuries, you have neighbors. Let's say you have neighbors and Lamb and other guys, right? Jaden Reed. Okay, so you have Lamb, Jaden Reed, and neighbors. That's a bummer. It's not really possible to have neighbors and neighbors and Lamb, but okay. Jalen Tolbert, technically, we said he's a desperation stream last week. What did he do? 10 fantasy points. Cole Kmet, desperation tight end stream. What did Cole Kmet do? Led Chicago in targets. Great process play, just didn't get the catches, right? So we had a lot of fun fringe options got there, including Jalen Tolbert for the super desperate, super deep leaguers. Another guy to consider is Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks' usage is cannibalizing Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. They're rotating the 3 receivers equally. Brandon Cooks is scoring fantasy points. He's had a resurgence. It's a renaissance for Brandon Cooks. They have to throw. They're playing the Giants. So if Lamb sits, I think you go back to Jalen Tolbert. It makes too much sense. I mean, this is a team where you want assets in the passing game for Dallas, right? They're in shootout or comeback mode in every game. So go back as a desperation stream to Jalen Tolbert. If not Tolbert, if Lamb plays, Brandon Cooks. There's some other receivers that might get dropped you can pick up or have been on the waiver wire that you might want to stash. They include Christian Kirk. He's getting the usage, just not scoring. Jalen Coker is going to be back soon. Keep that in mind. Torrey Horton is a guy that is eventually going to get more opportunities. Rashad Bateman's going to probably get dropped. And I like him, especially with Cooper Rush. I think Rashad Bateman will be an interesting play. He might be a play of the week with Cooper Rush, like just a streaming option. Hopefully Lamar Jackson's injury isn't super serious. And there is one more receiver that we should talk about because Calvin Austin sustained an injury, and his name is Roman Wilson. Now, DK Metcalf's peripheral usage has not been that good. He had the big fantasy point output last week, but the target share has not been there. He's not a target share guy. He wasn't a target share guy at Mississippi. Now, I know A.J. Brown was there, but DK Metcalf's never been that guy. Roman Wilson is interesting. Runs a sub-4 440, best comparable to Stephon Diggs. Pittsburgh slow plays young players, but now Roman Wilson's in his 2nd year. Stranger things have happened than Roman Wilson getting in there. So this is a deep, deep stash, deep cut Roman Wilson. Again, all based on these injuries. A lot of number 2 running backs, number 2 receivers getting hurt, and we need to act accordingly, take advantage on the waiver wire. We bemoan the injuries. We don't love to see it. These guys are warriors. They're modern-day gladiators. Don't want these injuries to happen, but when they do, you have to adjust. Darren Waller's back. If he's available in a tight end premium league, which I doubt he is, but he could be, I'm saying 25% at least in tight end premium. Darren Waller could be the number 1 receiver for this team. I don't know what the hell is going on with Jalen Waddle. He's not the same player he was a couple of years ago. I don't know what the hell's going on. We'll see what Jalen Waddle is without Tyreek Hill. It could be just a magical, like Scottie Pippen, triple doubles every game without Michael Jordan. That's what it could be. We don't know. I kind of doubt it, but for that reason, I really like Waller. If you're desperate for tight end, I mean, you go even higher on Waller. Even in deep leagues, it doesn't have to be tight end premium. You want Waller. It's hard to find tight end production. Oh, man. Imagine if you drafted David Njoku, Evan Ingram, George Kittle, Sam Laporta. I mean, TJ Hawkinson. Every time I look up, there's another tight end that had, relatively valuable draft capital putting up like 2 for 17. Not Brenton Strange, though. All Brenton Strange does is lead his team in yards or receptions. So weeks past it was yards. This past week, it was receptions. What does this guy need to do? If he's available in tight end premium, shame on you, by the way. But I'd put a 20% bid on him. I'd get him in deep leagues. I'd go up to 5% in any deep league to get Brenton Strange. He's a featured option on that team. Sorry, Travis Hunter. Oh, that's Travis Hunter. You people really fell for that? Come on. Now, there's always a guy every week that we feature at tight end. And almost always, he's an incredible athlete. And he gets totally marginalized by his team. And it's not his fault. So these are athletes that are toiling in obscurity and are underperforming because of the situations that they're in. This is the typical tight end that we talk about on this show. Because they're on the waiver wire for a reason. Hello, Chikakonkwo. Right? So who is the next Chikakonkwo? Where we're going to get excited, but because they're on a bad team, we're almost always inevitably going to be disappointed. Well, that is, ladies and gentlemen, Theo Johnson. I mean, Theo Johnson, incredible athleticism across the board. I think that Luke Musgrave comp could actually be closer than we want it to be. I don't love that. I mean, he wasn't very productive in college, but man, is he an athlete. Someone's going to catch passes. And I know the answer to that is Wan'Dale Robinson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Wan'Dale Robinson. Talk about a player that you could absolutely draft, and you should be drafting in the Flex 6 Frenzy on Fast Draft. It is Wan'Dale Robinson. Theo Johnson is interesting, though, especially in tight end premium. There's going to be a rush to get him. You're probably not going to get him. My guess is you won't get him in tight end premium. And that's okay. Because what's probably going to happen is what happens to Chikakonkwo every week. So I wouldn't panic and outbid the competition in tight end premium on Theo Johnson. Certainly you want to be aggressive, but just not too aggressive. But I also think that he's interesting in deep leagues. If you need tight end help, I'd put a little feeler bid on him in any league, really, just not a shallow league. Jackson Dart's an upgrade. And again, that target hierarchy is wide open. The number 2 receiver is Darius Slayton, for crying out loud. Get out of here. Now, there's also a bunch of tight ends that could get dropped. David Njoku could get dropped. Harold Fannin could get dropped just because it's the Browns and they're not putting up any points. But Fannin's usage was greater than David Njoku last week. Can't believe it. What a stud this guy is as a rookie. Commanding more snaps and targets and routes than David Njoku. How is this possible? And yet, because he doesn't put up fantasy points, he gets dropped in leagues. So you got to be there to scoop him up. Cole Kmet. We have no idea when Colson Loveland's going to be back, and Cole Kmet was a target leader. He's going to get dropped, and you could scoop him. Aronde Gadsden, his usage has been really encouraging. He didn't produce. He could be dropped. You also can stash Likely still, and you can stash Arroyo. We talked about quarterback earlier. Cooper Rush is going to be my play. Cooper Rush. I mean, the Cooper Rush Zay Flowers stack this week for DFS. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I would even go as far as, like I said, Rush, Flowers, and Bateman. Because this is not the Lamar Jackson offense. It's going to be very different. And Cooper Rush was the most underrated backup quarterback in the league in Dallas for years. That's a statement. That is a statement. We should have a sound effect for that statement. Cooper Rush, the most underrated backup quarterback in the NFL the last 3 years. Oh yeah. And I got to change the order of the show. We can't end on this. We are gonna end on it, but I don't want to. I don't want to end on it, but we're gonna end on it. It's sad we have to end on it. We're ending on it. This is just box score scouting 101. This isn't anything. But there are some weapons. We talked about the weapons in Cleveland. They're there. Isaiah Bond, he's there. Harold Fannin's there. Njoku's there. And Joe Flacco is dust. It's official dust. That if you can't put up more than one fantasy point against Detroit's secondary, you're dust. You're dust. And all of you people that drafted Jerry Jeudy in best ball, shame on you. You should be embarrassed. Should be embarrassed. All those people. There are people out there. Here's what I'll say. If you're in this audience, and there's a lot of people in the audience, right? We've got however many, like 600 plus live viewers. If you drafted both Travis Hunter and Jerry Jeudy in best ball on the same team, I think you should take a look at the mirror. I think you take a look at the mirror and decide what you think matters about fantasy when it comes to making decisions about players. And I take a hard look. A hard bit of self-reflection is necessary, I think, if you're doing that. All that is to say, Jerry Jeudy's not bad. He's just not a top 100 pick in fantasy. It's a nice little situation that a quarterback named Dylan Gabriel could find himself in, and he is available in some Superflex leagues, and he must be picked up. From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.